What's up, guys? We're back. We have a pretty special video going on here. We got Mr. Preston Stewart, kind of the I've talked about him on so many videos. He's kind of the godfather of this content, talking about conflicts, and I was watching his stuff way before Ukraine, so it's really cool. Appreciate you and your support and your help here.
Dude, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. So this is part two. We did part one over my channel, part one coming over here. We were talking about doing some sort of combat footage review, and I asked Vegas, like, can you come up with some? And he sent two over, and they're both long. So we're like, let's split it up, one in each. But let's do it, man. This one's a little more rural. Should I go ahead and hit play?
Yeah, let's do it. Absolutely. Yeah, we got the forest belts in this one.
Cremina? Am I in the general vicinity there?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
That was a stronghold for Azov for a while.
Longer. It seems like you guys are out here longer than other areas. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's the whole story is actually interesting, but long story short, there was a bunch of Ukrainians here, that other brigades that got surrounded, and they called Azov. And Azov came in, evacuated all the other Ukrainian brigades, and held the forest line. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I feel like all of the Azov footage for a while looked like this right here.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. This was the hub. I mean, I still debate with myself all the time, because at this point I've fought in trenches like this and forest, and I've also fought in urban environments, and I don't know which one I hate more.
I was going to ask that. Yeah. Wait, why would but so the video we just watched was there were basements you could go down in and take pretty significant cover. These dudes are not able to take all that much cover. It seems like urban would be better defensive.
Yeah, it's true. Yes, I would
But I
say
guess
yes.
you're in an offensive capacity, so you're looking at it from a different perspective then.
Right. Yeah, we don't do any defensive operations. It's all just go. And moving quickly, you have so much more to look at when there's rooms and doors and basements and windows.
I'm going to go back here and pause it. The dude's rocking a white light. I'm an artillery guy. It's been a long time since I've done any of the infantry stuff. That seems like it's really giving away his position in this environment. Is that normal, or does it just not matter as much here? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. So light discipline in general is so important, because of your proximity to the enemy typically, and the amount of drone surveillance. But these guys here, they came in, and at this point they've already smoked a handful of guys. The enemy knows they're coming. So at this point, lights are on, it's shock and awe, it's fast, it's loud, and those trenches are so freaking dark, you need a white light. Red light won't cut it anymore.
Interesting. And of course, inside dugouts, like that's a totally different scenario. I was thinking more of when you see them kind of poking up over the top.
Yeah, and even then, we see a lot of guys, and even in our battalion, they will use that strobe on their flashlight while they're moving through trenches just like this, for the enemy that's poking their head out. So much harder to see when you got that strobe in your face.
I've seen it in some of these videos, and it makes me look away.
Yeah, it's it's gnarly.
Tape. I see guys rocking green tape here. Can you talk about why? Sometimes it's green, sometimes it's yellow, sometimes it's blue.
Yeah, this is interesting. I've gotten this question a handful of times, and I've worn all three different kinds of tape as well. It's literally the most tape that you can buy in a general vicinity. The color means literally nothing. As long as it's yellow, blue, or green, it's friendly. Red and white are enemy, but there's no other differentiation. It's whatever you can get your hands on more of.
Do you know in this case if this would have been a Russian trench line that was dug, or is this a Ukrainian position the Russians took over?
This was if I remember correctly, this was a Ukrainian position that the Russians took over, and this was a strong point for them. There was quite a few of them. This was a massive operation. Usually Azov operates in smaller teams. They hit
close.
Little ammo cache in there. Usually Azov operates in smaller teams, but there was a lot of soldiers on this op because it was a really big trench system.
When you say a lot, are you talking company size?
Yeah, maybe more like for Azov, I say a lot is like probably 20.
Okay.
And that's common. There's pretty standard SOP for when you frag a foxhole or a bunker like that. Give it a couple seconds because that happens a lot. Ammo cooks off, RPG warheads explode.
When we were going through the urban footage in the previous video, you were talking about how there's so much recon, when a door has been opened or closed compared to the other day, and you're entering this door, exiting that door, all that detail. Is it the same thing with trench systems?
Yeah, it is. But more so with trench systems, the more important aspect is the number of enemy that you're looking for, and that you want to know when the operation's over, you got, if there was 7 going in, you got 7 enemy bodies at that point. Because of the trenches, they can move so quickly to different locations. Oh, that's the gnarly part.
That's getting edited out.
That's bad.
Not much left. All right.
Yeah, and he's still going. Super common to what we call dead check or double tap, just because there's been more than once where somebody still has their last couple of minutes of life, and they'll pull a pin on a frag and take out some friendlies.
Another tactic question here. We're seeing all these guys run through the trenches, and of course the challenge there is you could turn the corner and you're face to face with a machine gun. And how terrifying it is to go into some of those dugouts. Is it ever an okay solution to be up top, looking down into the trench? Is there a scenario where that is viable?
That is a great question, and that's a question we get up from a lot of newer people during training, because you think, during a firefight, you want to be above, you want to have a better angle, and that's almost always going to be above, like where he's at right now.
Yeah.
But yes, especially with Azov, we train so many different ways to move through and assault a trench position. There's applications for all of them, but typically if you can have a guy inside and a guy up top and you guys move together, you can kind of cover most angles, and that's kind of the ideal way to do it. It's just when you're up top, you're so much more exposed to a sniper way down the way or an FPV now. But these guys, I think it's this bunker that it collapses and they have to get up and go around, actually, I believe.
All right, random one. There's a shitload of trash here. Do you guys normally burn that, or how's that normally taken care of?
It's funny. There's like a saying or like a well-known fact that if there's trash, there's Russians, because on drone footage, drones look for large areas of trash. They know Russians are nearby. They just don't really care when they're in a position. They'll throw their MRE packs and all their trash and their ammo packs. Ukrainians specifically will bury this stuff. They will hide their trash, and it kind of makes sense to be a little more discreet and hide your presence. But this is how you know
burning
it's
it would give you a way to degree.
Yeah, smoke, especially smoke signals. I've seen drones so quickly find smoke and find that's such a big indicator for drones to start circling, swarm in that area.
So you were saying you're not sure if you... Oh, there's a good look. Let's pause that real quick. That's a good look of what the guys are going through. You were saying you're not sure if you would prefer urban or rural. Generally speaking, for the rest of your team, do you think, guys, does one type of mission tend to be preferred over the other?
Yeah, I think rural is definitely a more ideal situation, typically for a couple of reasons. One, we can usually infill in a vehicle much closer to a village because there's better roadways, there's better infill routes for vehicles. So you could typically pull right up on a position, hop out, and it's go time. When you're coming into a position like this and you're assaulting this, you're usually hiking for a while. Like, these guys probably trekked 10 kilometers before they even started fighting. But even with the urban scenarios now, there's so many drones that you got to walk to these villages now, even because of the drone threat.
Is that reducing the frequency of infantry operations just with the constant overhead surveillance? Like, I don't even know that I asked that question the right way. Just
I no, I think so, because I would say it's not necessarily reducing the frequency, but it's just making infantrymen so much more tired. It's these are heavy kits, and in order to clear a village or a trench system, you have to bring a lot of gear.
yeah. I mean, we've already Jesus.
Yeah.
And we've already seen like 60 grenades thrown in this one clip, right? And
Yeah.
grenades are not light.
Yeah, I had a rule: no less than 10 frags.
That's no joke, man. That's a lot of weight.
That's a lot of weight for one person. And then usually that's a bare minimum. Usually you got your backpack full of frags so your buddy can open it up and grab some. So, and that's for a rifleman, let alone a machine gunner with all his ammo, a grenadier.
So speaking of loadouts, in the U.S. Army, at least back in my day, 210 rounds was kind of the standard for a rifleman. What are you guys looking at for kind of the standard loadout for just a rifleman? How many rounds are they carrying?
A rifleman's bringing 14 to 16 mags on an assault. So 14 to 16 times 30.
Oh, Jesus. I think
Yeah.
I think it was set. Yeah, it would have been 7 is what I would.
Okay. Yeah, that's
So double.
yeah, because you're not going to get reinforced, and if you get pinned down, you're stuck there. Oh goodness. That's another ammo cache. They keep so much stuff in those.
Yeah.
Like, oh, here you go. This is an example of getting the high ground.
So it's the same trench system. They just, in this case, they went above ground. Okay, got it.
Yep. That last hole just exploded and collapsed, so they moved up above it. And so much of it's situationally dependent. If they know they're at the end of the trench system, they know the odds of them getting shot from people further back is very low. So
Sure.
they may be more comfortable now moving up as opposed to getting up on the top right at the entrance of the trench.
And something that I think we miss a lot in looking at the trench fighting is we have this assumption that it's the World War I trench line that like runs across all of Europe, but a lot of these are not connected, right? There's some distance between this trench network and the next.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's very true. And there's also this common misconception that trenches are, like you said, World War I, these straight lines that go for miles and miles. But I've never been in a trench that was straight. I've been lost in so many trenches. I take a wrong turn and I go over here, and then they're in such different shapes and sizes.
And covered in trash, apparently.
And covered in trash, so much trash, which makes it also hard to recognize booby traps, especially in Russian trenches, which they booby trap always.
So when you say booby trap, it says, what was that he just set there? Is that a small little...
It looks like a little VOG grenade, little Russian-made frag.
That's interesting. So that's a little less of a boom than kind of
Yeah.
the traditional... Wow.
Yeah, they're old. I haven't seen them much used in combat because you can that thing can go off pretty close to you. You'll probably be okay. It's like
Not always great, yeah.
yeah, it's like an M80 firework or something, as opposed to your American-made frags.
Have you ever seen that comparison back in it was a World War II comparison of the bang inside of an American grenade versus one of the German potato mashers? And just
Yeah.
how different they were. And it was like, yeah. The
It's pretty
explosive charge
incredible.
was wildly different.
Yeah, I think this conflict has brought to light as well what frags are really for and how dangerous they really are. We see in movies frag grenades look like nuclear bombs in some explosions, but the amount of frags I've had go off right next to my head just because there was a wall here or a berm or something, they're not as lethal as some people think. In fact, rarely will they just annihilate someone. They're usually there to maim or wound.
There was a lot of talk at the beginning of the war about using thermobarics to go after some of these bunker systems. I feel like we haven't heard of that in a while. Is that still a thing? Was it not super effective?
So they are extremely effective, but what was difficult was getting the proper supplies to make them, and especially just getting the actual pre-made thermobaric munitions like the RPG warheads. They're super useful, especially in little bunkers like this. They're just hard to get.
Gotcha.
So you've heard these non-stop bombs that they'll make now, and they're homemade. They look like an energy drink can, and they're homemade plastic explosive thermobaric hand grenades. They're heavy, and they're used to just evaporate holes like this.
It's not that there's a good way to go if you're in one of those bunkers, but it seems like thermobaric would be a rough exit.
Yeah, we train being in holes and preparing for a thermobaric attack, and how you need to hold your breath so your lungs don't explode. I don't want to get too graphic, but we train for thermobaric attacks because of how often the Russians will use them.
I don't mean to be pessimistic, but that sounds similar to like get under your desk during a nuclear attack.
Yeah,
I might do it. Yeah.
That's exactly it. That's why one of the worst fears for an assaulter or an infantryman is being stuck in one of these during an assault. There's just nothing you can do. At least if you can get up, you can pretend to fight back or give the illusion of fighting back. But when you're stuck in those, there's nothing you can do.
I think that's worth noting here too, though, is you don't see like one guy. We get the clips that make it seem like there's one dude running into a bunker and clearing everything, but again, like everything is coordinated and there's always somebody right by him.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it seems like a lot would have to go wrong for somebody to get cut off in this circumstance.
Yeah, definitely. The amount of time that specifically Azov teams, assault teams like this, train with their buddies assaulting trenches is absurd. Like, these guys could probably do this with their eyes closed. They've always got a battle buddy. As you can see, if the guy in front gets hit, the guy behind him will rip him back and take his position. They know each other like the back of their hands. They fight and they move. They train really well for these situations.
And then there's got to be some tale of logistics, right? You've got medics a little further back, maybe the commander in the middle. Like, we're just seeing one aspect of this, but this is going to be stretching all the way back to wherever they entered. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. There's Azov has changed the way combat medicine works a little bit, in the sense that we're now running assault medics. Typically, we'll try to bring a fully trained assaulter who's also trained as a medic, so we can get those medical interventions done immediately. But in this case specifically, they have a CCP not too far back, and I believe they even bring somebody back. Or actually, the guy with the LMG is at the CCP.
Oh, interesting. So that's right up there. Okay. It's close.
Yeah. So
when you say assault medics,
in your perspective, sorry, no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, when you say assault medics, like there you go, CCP right here.
Yes, yeah, right here.
Perfect. When you say assault medics, I feel like we're almost kind of mincing words, where our combat medics in the military, like, they carry weapons, they can engage the enemy, and they're a part of the force, but their primary role is medic. Is there just like a variation there where their primary role is assaulter, but they can be a medic, or what's the big difference between just a normal combat medic?
Yeah, that's a great question. That was, excuse me, that was specifically my role. I was the assault medic on our assault team, and with, like, in the International Legion, when I was with the Legion, and actually almost across the board with other brigades in Ukraine, medics are so rare that they'll oftentimes be kept way back, like on the second or third line. Very rarely are there medical trained personnel with the actual assaulting force. But like you said, like in the U.S., they're right up there with the boys. So that's much more how it is with Azov now. Not only is your average infantryman at a higher level of, like, basic life-saving skills typically, but then you'll have a fully trained combat medic corpsman, CMC soldier, such as myself, with the assaulter. So our primary role is absolutely eliminating the enemy in a bad case scenario, one of the boys gets hit, I'm right there on top immediately, boom, tourniquet or whatever we have to do.
That is different. I mean, that is, and I was saying like the U.S. we have medics forward, but to be clear, they're not assaulting. Like they're with the command element or with the platoon leader, with the RTO. So they're forward, but the shit's really got to hit the fan before the medic's clearing rooms. But
Right.
you're saying in this role, like they are doing that. They're clearing rooms, and then when the situation arises, they're helping their guys out.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But that's exactly it. I carried frags. I carried a 203 grenade launcher with a bunch of 40 mics. The assault was the priority.
Makes sense. Sounds very Marine Corps, right? Every Marine and rifleman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What's the rough timeline for this assault here? Because when they started, and I know there's gonna be some like it's clipped to a degree, but like it started in the dark. It's clearly daylight now, but not long after the sunrise. Any idea how long this start to finish was?
So if my information's correct, I thought this was like a 20 to 30 minute altogether.
Jeez.
Like it was fast. Now, like you said, it's clipped together and maybe made to seem a little bit longer here, but these guys, you're trained to move through trenches really quickly, especially because of the drone threats. So the faster you can get in and out, the better. Yeah, that's a cool video. I love seeing how many different units work here in Ukraine. They all have different nuances and pros and cons, but watching guys like this who have a lot of experience it's always exciting for me.
It's interesting for me to see because a lot of the clips we run through on my channel are very quick. They're very high level. It's a lot of drone footage to say like it looks like there's troops in this area or not. We don't do a lot of that where it's like that was start to finish an operation, man.
Yeah.
That was wild to see. I really appreciate you answering all the questions and not brushing any aside there. That was really helpful, dude.
I love it, and I don't know. It's interesting to me, and I think the more we can share this stuff with more people, the better. And at the end of the day, just the more people who still keep Ukraine on the forefront of their mind has always been my goal. No matter what kind of context, I suppose, as long as it's like, hey, there's still stuff happening in Ukraine. That was the goal. All right, guys, we just finished. This was part 2 of our 2-part series, the urban assault, Azov assault, and then I believe the Kremita Forest. It was the Posadka tree line assault. Super cool stuff. I want to say thank you so much to Mr. Preston Stewart. Thank you for being here and just supporting us really for, months now. Thank you.
Of course, man. This was awesome. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Heck yeah. So share, subscribe, do all that, do all the YouTube stuff. Obviously, check out Preston's channel. If you're watching me, you probably already know what he's about. So check us both out, and we'll see you in the next video.